Go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the fifth episode of Halo Squared. Of course, I'm James Gonzalez, but I have James Milu with me. How are you today, James?
I'm wonderful. One week closer to real, actual baseball, and so I'm really excited to get this season going.
Yeah, what a
I
week,
know not a lot of people.
a week, a week
Yeah, almost
behind,
exactly a
or a
week.
week.
A week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I forget
A
what
week
day it
from
is, but
tomorrow, we
yeah,
get to 20. Yeah, yeah.
that's right. The Angels will be in Baltimore just like in 1961, and then they will start up the season. And if you haven't already, please like and follow, subscribe to Halos on the Infield here on YouTube and also on all the social media platforms Instagram, Facebook, on X, where Fernando does a great job on that. And also on Believe to hear the podcast form of this and the other shows that come on. And again, give some big shout outs to our sponsor is Noble Oil Works. You can find them at 1621 Sinclair Street, Suite B, Anaheim, California. And that's right across the way from Angel Stadium. A good sober walk. Have some good drinks there and some good food trucks that will come by outside. And also James 714 tickets. As he's stuck, but we'll get back to him soon. James, I mentioned 714 tickets. I don't know if you're here, but uh, we're getting our technical stuff
714
together.
tickets. 714 tickets.
There you
Call
go.
today. Go tonight.
Yeah, it works everywhere. I'll definitely be looking on that market to see my last minute Angel games. I'll definitely be going on there. I noticed there's just so many fees on other websites now. I was looking up spring tickets and then other tickets too, and it just really was bad. Just what you're looking at, all these $35 fees, $25 fees, or whatever it is. Don't forget March Madness is here. You want to get involved with that with 714 tickets. All right, so we'll get into the last impressions here in spring training at Arizona. The Angels right now today on this Wednesday the 20th are splitting squads. One game right now, as we're talking, almost 2 p.m. They are playing the Giants, hosting the Giants at Tempe, and then they'll have a split squad at Surprise later with the Royals. The Angels are 12-12 so far in spring Cactus League play. The final week, we got to talk about how the Angels were on a 19. I thought it was 19, but um, they were saying a 20 inning non extra base hit slump going into Tuesday's game until Drury had a leadoff double. And then in the second, Neto had that home run. And also some good news, though. The Angels lead the Cactus League in stolen bases. So Washington wanted to have him or have this team run for him, get on and get over and get in. And that's what we want to see. If the power isn't going to be there, we'll at least get on somehow and run. So let's get into some uh, impressions, maybe for the guys on the roster that maybe might not make it, maybe will. Infielder Le'Veon Soto had a great sacrifice bunt on Tuesday against Milwaukee, I believe, and then on Wednesday he had a 2 RBI single, stolen base, in place for the injured Rengifo. Rengifo, of course, had hamstring tightness, but he says he's doing better. Miguelson, I don't know. Soto, he's vying for that roster spot, on the bench to be that utility infielder and kind of throw him around there. I don't know if he'll make it, but he's certainly making his play for it. Miguel Sanu, he plays fine defense, has the power, but the average, of course, is awful. Even losing all those pounds, he's still not hitting as well as he should, but he plays well enough defense. You always mentioned you could put him third or first. Ari Arianza, he's a vet off the bench who knows the Braves, people here with the Angels, but I sadly I don't see him making the team here. Same for Willie Calhoun. He has the power, but he's not getting the playing time in the crowded outfield that might hurt him not making a roster. Jake Marinzik, it's crazy too because he's another outfielder. He's one of the leaders in hits and RBIs for the team. I don't know if he'll take that assignment to go to AAA, but um, I would love to have him on the team. But I think other teams are looking at him. Maybe even the Giants are looking at him to say, "Hey, we need another outfielder. We might take you." Hunter Strickland and Ben Joyce, they're both struggling out of the bullpen, and that's really unfortunate. Strickland, I've noticed he's giving up hits and leaving the ball up for homers. I don't think he'll make the team, despite pitching a lot of innings, but he just seems to really struggle. And Ben Joyce, he's working on the mental side of things. They mentioned along with his location, he has like all the speed in the world and a great arm, but he has to pinpoint the ball better, accuracy, especially against lefties. He's throwing in on them, I've noticed. Runners just still on him. He did get out of a jam. That was Monday against Milwaukee. So what Soto did, yeah, Monday against Milwaukee and Phoenix, he did get out of a good jam. He got the Enright come out and he got a um, good talking to and get him out of that. He's just got to work out the mental side of things. Closer Carlos Estevez, he's been solid uh, after a rough start. It's almost like last spring training. Remember when he started off really rough and he didn't know what you were getting from Colorado? And then he had a good first half and a bad first half, or bad second half. So I want to see what he has left. Reed Detmers, he struggled with his command on Tuesday against Cincinnati at Tempe. First inning, he had 23 pitches and only 10 were strikes. Second inning, he gave up a run, but he did come back strong, retiring 6 in a row after 4. Uh, Rengifo, I mentioned with the injury, but it's a lingering issue. We'll see if it plagues him throughout the season. So those are just some things I've noticed with the last week of the Cactus League and the players going on. Is there any guys, James, you see that are on the bubble that might not make it or might make it? Um, what do you think about this crowded outfield and the guys who may not make it?
Well, that outfield is still crowded. we have so we have only 5 spots. They're gonna. It looks like Wash is gonna go with 5 outfielders, as we've been talking about. And who's gonna be the odd man out? I think Marisnik. He's a journey veteran. He's been a journeyman veteran, and he's been with a lot of teams. And I think he may be one of the odd man out. He's on the bubble definitely. Willie Calhoun. I don't think they retain him. I think he's going to be released or sent to AAA. Um, you have depth and in a position where we didn't have so much depth last year. So Wash definitely has some decisions to make on these outfielders. And I've been impressed with Jake Marisnik. He's been around for a long time. Angels fans hated him for running into Jonathan LaCroix some years back, if you remember that.
Mhm.
But we kind of forgave him, I guess, in a way. Um, he's a good outfielder. He's going to latch on with somebody. I just don't think he makes his opening day roster. He's on the bubble. Um, but I do think players like you have right now. You have Ward. He's a lock. Trout, obviously a lock. Moniak is a lock. Joe Adell out of options. He's a lock. And then, who are you going to go with? Hicks? He's had a great spring. He hit a monster home run yesterday in
Mm-hmm.
Tempe, and he's having a great spring. So, those five guys right there. And, you're going to have players on the bench. We still have a bench to think about. You have players like Arianza having a great spring. He's probably going to make the rosters. Miguel Sano is probably going to make the roster because we have no power in that lineup. Um, so, so a lot of these guys are hot. The least guy would be Willie Calhoun. He has not. He's been kind of cold all spring. So I think he and Mereznik are going to be left off the roster. I think coming up. That's just my own personal opinion, but their spring hasn't been as impressive as the other guys in the lineup so far. So we'll see. I'm curious to see what happens because we have so many outfielders, and it's crazy, you know. But we'll find out here at the end of next week. We have the Freeway Series coming up, so we'll see. You know,
What what do you feel about Soto? Le'Veon Soto, because you remember he was up with the Angels last
also,
year. He didn't really do much, but this spring it seems like he's kind of getting hot lately, and he's making things happen at the plate. He's in the starting lineup more often. You think he makes it?
we sent him to Baltimore early on in spring
Mm,
training. Remember that?
yep.
And I think that had an effect on him. And he came back to the Angels. We claimed him off of waivers from Baltimore. They released him. And this was a guy that I didn't want them to let go because he could play all around the infield. He's playing third for Rendon. He's a sleeper. He's always been a good hitter. His defense has been pretty good, and he's had a pretty good spring. So I think the Angels hold on to him.
Yeah,
If
that's
not,
fair.
I think he's going to make the bench. If not AAA, they're not going to release him a second time. It'd be nuts to release him because he can play all around that infield, and we need infield depth right now. So
Is there
yeah, so
anybody in the bullpen that you would maybe not uh see making the roster that they have going right now?
well, again, we have so many bullpen guys, but you could never have enough pitching. But there's some guys on the bubble. You mentioned Hunter Strickland earlier, and he's had a pretty good spring for the Angels. I think he makes the roster because we need that depth with Stevenson going down, so we need bullpen depth. Ben Joyce is on the bubble. I just don't think he's quite ready mentally yet. He has the stuff, but I think it's just what's going on between the ears. That's the problem. I think he starts in AAA. Um, you have a guy like Suarez who gave up. He's a
Yeah.
long reliever slash starter who gave up 5 runs in that game yesterday. I think
Yeah.
he starts at AAA because he has options. Um, Estevez, he's not had a very good spring, but he's going to be our closer. You haven't seen much from Matt Moore. He's had an okay spring. He's going to be our setup guy. We have so many guys that have been, they're trying to extend guys, like Jose Soriano. They're trying to make him a starter because we just don't have enough depth in that top 5. So they're trying to stretch him out, and that hasn't gone very well. Um, I don't know. It's going to be another revolving door worth of relievers. We have a lot of good relievers, a lot of good arms. Luis Garcia is another one. He'll make the roster. Um, we're going to have arms in that bullpen. I think our bullpen's our greatest strength right now, along with the 5 outfielders. Um, who knows what's going to happen to Stevenson? There's been no update, and I think he's trying to work out his shoulder issues right now. So hopefully it's not too serious because we really need that guy. We signed him for 3 years and like 33 million. So we have bad luck when it comes to signing guys to long-term contracts.
Man. Some guys to
But
look at:
yeah,
Drew Pomerantz,
Drew
Wamps,
Pomerantz. Yep, I forgot about him. He's going to be a lock. I think he's had a great spring, and
Ladero.
I've liked that guy on other teams. I
Yeah,
think he's going to do. Like I said, our bullpen's going to be a strength this year for the first time in a long time.
I hope so. You also have Zanija, uh, Herget, but I don't know, Koleric, Urena
Or yeah,
Simber, uh, Cenero. There's just a lot of guys here, and yeah, it's good to have depth. And then if someone's cold, you could bring up someone. So that's a really good thing to have. Speaking of pitchers, Milu, we had
yeah.
some news yesterday come out before the game that Patrick Sandoval has been named the opening day starter. Wash thought that he earned it in the spring with his mentality. It's coming out better, it seems like, to Wash. Um, all I could think of is last year. He started 28 games. Uh, 7-13 was his record. His ERA was 4.11. Just a lot of bad innings, a lot of walks, especially early, like in the first inning. I, yeah, I get it. You're trying to give him some confidence. To me, it was kind of a surprise, though. I thought maybe Reed Detmer should have got that nod. Uh, I honestly thought maybe I feel bad for Chase Silseth. Maybe he should have got it. But yeah, how do you feel about Patrick Sandoval getting the nod for opening day in Baltimore as the opening day starter?
I really thought it was going to be Griffin Canning
Yeah,
because
that
he's
too.
had a better spring, and it wasn't surprising because Patrick Sandoval, excluding last year's season, he's been a workhorse for the Angels and pretty solid, but he's been horribly inconsistent, as you know, as of last season. And this spring, he has a 7.15 ERA. He's given up 6 hits, and that's not going to fly. He's going to straighten it out. I think his problem is also between the ears, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's been working on, he tends to get into counts where he walks guys and he lets his emotions get the best of him. And it's been said that, you know, they've been working with him on, his mentality and, not getting into his emotions as much. But I don't know, something's just not working with him. And I really hope, he starts our season off great because we're going to be facing that monster lineup, that very young, talented lineup in Baltimore, with the Orioles. And it's, I don't know, it's going to be, he wasn't my first choice to be the opening day
Mm-mm.
starter. So I thought it would have been Canning, Silseth, then Sandoval, quite honestly. But it makes sense because he's been with the team a long time, but wouldn't been my choice to start. But, I'm going to support Sandoval anyway. I'm just hoping he figures it out by the first pitch of that opening game next Thursday.
Yeah, I go back to maybe what Fernando mentioned. I think in the last podcast he had, um, like, hey, we have no room basically for a complacent starter anymore. Like, he's not going to be around if he continues to be this way.
Right.
But man, I don't know if he how he's going to do. I still don't have the confidence for him or with him. I still don't have it for him, and I hope that changes. I hope we get to see again. A lot of people talk about his, WBC time, but that was, playing for a country and high stakes were there. If he can go back to that 21 mentality, that'd be great. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But we'll see what happens. Again, it's an honor. I think Nolan Ryan had probably the most opening day starts, and maybe Weaver in that time frames, or not time frame, but the amount of opening day starts. I think it's either Weaver or Ryan has that. Um, so let's get to the next topic. Blake Snell. He signed with the Giants.
Uh,
To me, the Angels, as it says here, never were a factor. He agreed to a 2 year, $62 million deal with the Giants, I believe, on late Monday night, Sunday night, I think it was. Um, Again, I think Snell wanted to stay on the West Coast. He did not want to go anywhere else, even though the Yankees were interested in him. The Giants were interested in him, but I think it was a couple of months ago. And all of a sudden, they were out of the race. They did get Chapman, uh, Holy, and then they also got Jorge Soler. They had a great offseason, it seems like, and it's a late offseason going into spring training. But I know Todd mentioned the moves that the Giants made, and it kind of puts them in that wild card race. They weren't in it before, but they need others to step up there. Like your Strzemski's having a bad spring, and he had a bad 2023 in the outfield. But with Blake Snell, I feel like the Angels really never were interested in him. They just put their name out there to be relevant, but they never really wanted him. I just have that feeling they were not going to spend any more. I mean, already, the last podcast was, already the art of saying no or whatever it was. That's what I thought. And people kept saying, "Oh my God, he's going to be Angel last week," and I was saying, "No, Artie's not spending anymore. Payroll has been cut drastically, right?" So, um, how do you feel about Blake Snell? He stays in the NL West, and then do you think the Angels ever had a chance at him?
let's be real here. The Angels were never really in on Blake Snell from the start. I think, just like you said, he was in there to keep the Angels relevant. His name was mentioned. John Heyman, most of the time, was of MLB, was mentioning him a lot. And he was really the only reporter who was mentioning Blake Snell to the Angels this whole time. And, he signed for uh, 2 years, 66 million, which was a little rich for the Angels. He does have an opt out after the first year, and it just didn't make sense for the Angels to sign a guy for 2 years and 66 mil with an opt out. Where he could, that's guaranteed money. He could, you know, play for the Angels 1 year and then decide he didn't want to play anymore. So that's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen with the Giants. So I'm not as sad. Everybody wanted Snell, but I'm not. I was thinking about it. I'm like, for that amount of money, might as well just sign two pitchers, at least. But that's the going rate for pitchers right now, or anybody for that matter. So I wasn't too surprised when he signed with somebody else, and good for the Giants, man, because they're getting a workhorse. Now they have two uh, Cy Young Award winners, and one in Brandon Webb, and then another with Blake Snell now. So good for them. But in the end, it just didn't make sense for the Angels to spend that kind of money on one pitcher. Now, another name out there, Jordan Montgomery, he's still out there. He's going to demand the same amount of money. Another Scott Boras client. So we'll see. But, would it have been nice to have Blake Snell? Of course. I think most Angel fans would have welcomed him with open arms. And, we were reading reports that, he kind of wanted to play for the Angels because he wanted to stay on the West Coast. But it just wasn't meant to be. And, Artie from the start said he wasn't going to spend that kind of money, especially on Snell. So, sucks. It sucks being an Angels fan right now because we don't
Mm-hmm.
sign anybody. So, dang
It's
it,
like
Artie.
I just expect it. I'm numb. Like I mentioned last year on a bunch of
Kind of.
shows, and I'm just numb to everything. It's like, oh, it happened again. Okay, cool. Or something didn't happen. Okay, yeah, that's Artie and that's the Angels. Yeah. Um, let's go to the time. Let's go to a throwback time. Let's go back in time a little bit. So, with the news of Cole Calhoun retiring, um, I'll just mention his stats because he was with the Angels 8 years, Arizona 2 years, and in Texas and Cleveland 1. Um, so he came up in 2012. Only had 23 at bats. Had RBI. Only hit 174, but the next year in 2013 had 8 home runs and 32 RBIs. Kind of took over that right field spot. And then he started to really blow up as we'll get Milu back here. But going through Cole Calhoun's stats, 2014, 17 home runs and 58 RBIs. He never really hit for a good batting average. But man, you mentioned his doubles though. 2015, or I'm sorry, 2013, 2014, he had 31 doubles. 2015, he had 30 or 23. 2016, he had 35 doubles. And then the most home runs he ever hit in a season was 2019 with 33, and he drove in 74. Most RBIs he drove in was 2005 was 83 RBIs. Highest batting average again with the Angels looks like here in 2013, where he's just hitting consistent for a little while. Um, but I remember Calhoun, being a really good player for the Angels, and then evidently falling off. It's amazing though how he had that 2019 campaign, and he went to that during the pandemic year in 2020, and they were playing in Anaheim, and nobody could go. And then 21 they were at Arizona, but seeing him in Texas in 22 was kind of awkward. Kind of had a resurgence year with 12 home runs. In Cleveland last year, 6 home runs and 25 RBIs. But after that, I think he knew eventually that his time was up. But James, I'll ask you, how will you remember Cole Calhoun and his impact with the Angels, offensively and defensively?
Well, we affectionately called him the Red Baron, in Anaheim, and Coley, Cole, he was there. We call him Coley, like he was ours. He was drafted by the Angels out of Arizona State. He was a Sun Devil, the pride of Buckeye. He's from Buckeye, Arizona, born in Tempe, so he was made to be an Angel. Um, that guy had a cannon for an arm, and he was a defensive wizard. And he was just the all-around fan favorite, and he fit into our culture. And he was just a total gamer, and that guy, he was a Dodgers killer too, which was great. I remember one of the last times they played for the Angels against the Dodgers. He threw Cody Bellinger out at home. I don't know if you remember that, to end the game
Yeah,
in
yeah.
one of the greatest Freeway Series games that we've had in recent history, and it was just that fire that we loved about Cole Calhoun. He was nothing special. I mean, he'd hit 25 to 30 homers a year. He would hit like 230, 240. Early on, he was hitting more for average, but he was
Mhm.
just with the bat. He hit some key home runs, but defensively, that's where he shined. I remember in Boston, uh, he robbed somebody of a homer going over that short fence at Fenway, and it was just unbelievable. He would dive everywhere. He was just, and when he left, all us Angel fans were sad because he was ours. It was sad to see him go somewhere else, as so many other players have. But he was the epitome of being an Angel, and to see him retire, and he thanked so many people. He had a 4-page thank you to the fans, the organizations he played for. He was just an all around class act, and I salute Cole Calhoun, and thank you for being Angel as long as you were, and he'll always be an Angel. I'm kind of hoping he signs a 1-day contract with the Angels so he can solidify his place in Angels lore as an official Angel for the rest of his days. So yeah, we love Cole, man. Total
And
gamer.
I
The
never
Red Baron.
I never thought he would do that, but maybe he could, and maybe it'd be
Yeah,
nice if he did it this week. But since the
yeah,
Angels are in Tempe before they leave for the Freeway Series, yeah, 8 years again with the Angels, 140 home runs with the team, 451 men driven in,
yeah. What a
160,
career.
167 doubles, 884 hits. The most stolen bases he had in season was 71 in 2017, and then 70 in 2019. He really balled out in 2019. I mean,
Yeah,
that year was a wash, but I do remember him kind of balling out, knowing like, oh, eventually I'm going to leave this team and go some elsewhere as a free agent, and he did that. That was like his money year, so I think that's why he went all out. Well, Milu, it's good to be back again with you for a show. We'll see you next week, and we'll preview uh, how
the
the
Freeway
season will
Series.
go. Yeah, we'll get into the Freeway Series, and then preview the season as the opening day. As that comes up, we'll get into all that. The Freeway Series is what 18, 19, 20. I want to say two with the two. I want to say two in LA. Is it? And then one.
And one in Anaheim. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. So we'll be talking about what we saw from there. We have to see Shohei possibly there with the Dodgers facing the Angels. I tried staying up for that, Korea series. I got until I think the eighth when I started to go out. I know the Dodgers won, I think 5-2, and tomorrow morning they play at the same time at 3 a.m. We'll see if I make it. But that's it, Milu. You have any final thoughts?
I'm just really, really excited to get the season going. I know a lot of us are just like ho hum about it because there's nothing special, but I'm this time of year. I'm always excited. I'm excited to be an Angels fan. I'm one of the very few, I think, excited for this season because I want to see what our young talent can do, and I want to see what we can do with Wash. Even though it hasn't been the off season that we wanted, I think we're gonna see our talent shine through, and I'm just really looking forward to the season starting next Thursday in Baltimore against Baltimore Orioles. It's going to be fun to watch this team this year, I think. But we need a couple more bats. We need some more pitching. We'll see what Artie can do in this last week, if anything. I'm not going to hold my breath. But
Yeah.
hey, Trout watch JD Martinez. Anything can happen. So we'll see.
Hey,
And
he was rumored all year long, or all off season long, to be an Angel.
yeah,
Oh.
I'm looking forward to the Freeway Series too. Our first glimpse at Otani in a Dodgers uniform facing us for the very first time. So go Halos, and yeah, I'm excited.
In that case, we'll see you next time on James Squared. Again, please like, follow, subscribe to Halos in the Infield, where you can find us on social media and on Believe. And also to our sponsors, Noble Oil Works and 714 Tickets.
714 tickets. 714 tickets. Call today. Go tonight. And go to Noble Ale too. They have so many good beers on tap.
Oh, yeah, they do. I can't wait to get back there. One day
Yeah, can't wait.
we'll be back there.
Everybody's so nice in there too. The people in there are just great. And I
Yeah.
love the beers are they're so helpful. With you have any questions about any of the ales that they have or beers, they're very knowledgeable about everything, and I enjoy my time there each and every time I go in there.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget to mention Heaty too. Halos in the Infield, HITI. We'll probably have some, I think, specials for you coming up this season. So stay tuned for that.
God willing, yeah, we'll get that
Yeah,
going. All right, folks, take care. See you later.
later. Go Halos, baby.